Jerry Jones said it wouldn't be crazy for you to get a contract extension.
Why are you laughing?
I hope you get it.
Crazy, I mean.
This was us that we're still talking about this, and here we are in late November, about your future and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I really haven't talked about it all year, so I mean, definitely not going to start on a short week in an important division game. But I'm not going to throw away positive vibes either, so I'll keep them coming. But that's all good.
Give Big Mike all the positive vibes, man, after withstanding some of those questions in those press conferences. Just when I thought I was throwing in the towel on this team, I was prepping for the draft in the offseason, the Cowboys somehow found a way in that game against the Commanders. However, if you look at the weeks leading up to that, it has been a disaster of a season for the Dallas Cowboys. They're currently sitting in 14th, I should say, in the NFC playoff picture. There's going to be a lot of work to do for them to get to where they need to go, but there's still some hope, we are being told. So let's go out to Dallas and bring in our Cowboys reporter, Garrett Podell, to discuss. Garrett, what an experience. You've been covering this team. You've been up close and personal. It wouldn't be a Thanksgiving game without a little bit of controversy coming from Jerry Jones. Obviously, that soundbite on the radio station with him saying he is willing to give Mike McCarthy an extension at this point after all hell had broke loose leading up to this point. Just what can you tell us about the situation with Mike McCarthy?
Look, Hailey, Jerry Jones knows how to stay in the news, right? To me, when we're talking about big picture, is Mike McCarthy going to be back next year? I go back to the preseason finale after the Chargers game. This was right before they re-signed CeeDee Lamb, a few weeks before they re-signed Dak Prescott. And Jerry was asked, well, why are you letting everybody go into this 2024 season with all the contractual uncertainty? He said, well, we still have Green Bay on our mind. And so Jerry, he was embarrassed by the poor performance in that playoff game, going down 27-0, losing 48-32. And that's sort of been the dominating way that he's operated with. He said, I think everyone's going to be best playing with some angst and some urgency. But, we haven't quite really seen that. We did see it last week in Washington when they had the biggest upset win of the season as 10.5-point underdogs. But I think the Cowboys are really going to have to pour it on down the stretch and look competitive in all these games going down the stretch. And even if the record still isn't what it is, he still might let him go anyways. I think this is a fun thing to talk about. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done for Mike McCarthy to earn another contract here in Dallas based on how angsty Jerry was feeling after their playoff disappointment in January.
I'm just proud of Mike for handling those questions with a smile. You and I have both been in those press conferences, and he can take those one way or the other. So I'm glad that he's able to keep a positive mindset, as he had mentioned there. And it's not just him, Garrett, the players as well. We saw CeeDee Lamb's comments saying out that Mike is our guy. We've heard Dak talk about in length about how much Mike calling plays for him and them developing that relationship has really changed the way Dak plays when he's on the field. So it just seems like maybe Jerry should listen to the players and keep him there. I'm not sure. What are you hearing, though, from the players in the locker room?
Yeah, I can second everything you just said, Hailey. I had a chance to speak to CeeDee Lamb on Tuesday, and he said, quote, we all love him, talking about Mike McCarthy. He talked about he's a real players coach. He has the respect of everybody in the locker room, especially an offensive guy like CeeDee, who's had career years the last 2 years with Mike McCarthy calling plays. And even in this down year, CeeDee leads the NFL in targets and catches. So what that says is Mike knows how to get the ball in his best players' hands. And look, Mike probably wasn't dealt the best hand. They let Tony Pollard walk. They're going with two rookies on the offensive line. And that's really kind of been a struggle, work in progress here. And I think the players are still with him. I also spoke with Jordan Lewis, and he said, look, our confidence has not wavered in the coaching staff. And Lewis even told me they've started to really get it and know what they're doing. I'm talking about the defensive side of the ball with Mike Zimmer. Trayvon Diggs spoke earlier in the year just about how there was a longer adjustment period going from what they did with Dan Quinn for 3 years to Zimmer this year. And Lewis basically confirmed to me, we're now kind of on the same page defensively. And you really saw the results in the way they shut down Jaden Daniels until the final play from scrimmage for Washington when they let up the big touchdown.
Yeah, it's always going to be a conversation with this team of can they get there? And this year it almost feels like it's a little too far out. We showed the playoff picture earlier. The Cowboys are way, way, way outside that 7th spot. But still, it sounds like there's some optimism. We heard Micah Parsons even after that game on Sunday saying, I told you so. Why is it that this group of guys believes that they still have a chance, even where they're sitting right now going into this game?
I think it's about the equity they've built up with Mike McCarthy and as a group the last 3 years, right? 12-5, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And going back to my conversation with Jordan Lewis at his locker on Tuesday, he said after the Washington game, everyone kind of looked around and said, we all believe we can play good ball and that we can win out. And now I wrote a piece yesterday for CBSSports.com breaking that down. So they've got just under a 2% chance, according to Sportsline, to make the playoffs and a 0.6% chance to win out. But if you look at their schedule, it's tied for the 8th easiest in terms of opponent win percentage down the stretch here in their last 6 games. And so they look at games against the Giants, the Panthers, the Cincinnati Bengals, who have an identical record. And even though the offensive stats have been great, they haven't been winning games. And they see that and say, look, why not us? So I think the veteran presence in that locker room, the way they're still buying into Mike McCarthy and going in and having the biggest upset win of the season at the Commanders on Sunday, they feel like, why not us? That's
why not
the vibe.
us? That's going to be me defending myself to all of these nice gentlemen on our set today. Why not us? Garrett Podell joining us ahead of the Cowboys-Giants game. Garrett, enjoy that Thanksgiving spread up in the press box, the carving station, all the things. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. And I hope it'll be a happy Thanksgiving for me come 4:30.